Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? I'm going to check I'm not playing Cold Justice or something in the background. I probably am. I'm always playing something in the background. How is everyone tonight on this Tuesday night for you guys, Wednesday afternoon for me? I hate mornings. How are you? I hate mornings says good. I've been watching your videos every night. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tonight we have a very interesting story that we kind of got a little bit into last night and then we left it for today. It's the Barry and Honey Sherman murders. I've done a bunch of research. It's one of those cases where it's like you could pick a different side and have a different opinion based on who these people were. But at the end of the day, it was a murder. Yeah, hey, how is everyone in the chat? Beth B, hey, good to see you. Woos is here, Laura T, Nancy, Emma Roth, Kelly in Texas, and Robin Lane are here. I hate mornings from before. Kathy Lynch, Kelly in Texas, Two Broke, Lori Go Cowboys. I think she just has that in her name, so have to say Cowboys or Go Cowboys. Who else is here? I think that's about it, unless I'm missing. Diane Marie was here earlier. I saw her. Peekaboo Cockatiel and Burnt Popcorn. Hey, how are you? Marlene Clausen as well. It's everyone, including Blue Moon. Hey, how are you? Um, let's get into this. I want to get this going, but I'm going to have to get up in a second. I just heard someone close my side door and it annoys the crap out of me. It really does, because I'm waiting on a package. And if it's not open, the postman won't deliver. So I'm going to set this up and then I'm going to quickly go do that. How come it always happens when we go to Showtime? Every time. All right. So this is what we're going to be talking about. It's Honey and Barry Sherman and their murders. Reading through it, you could take a different opinion on them. Some people thought they were great people. Some people on another side thought they were opportunistic people who took advantage of situations to further their own wealth and, their own kind of, life, really. And it wasn't just one set of people, it was a few different sets of people. Barry actually inherited a business from family. He ended up selling that business and then um, making his own. In that process, there was some relatives who thought they were entitled to some of that wealth because the original business had belonged to their father. And that actually got taken to court, and the court sided with Barry because I guess because it was a whole new business. But, you know, that's not the only situation where he had been accused of making situations only positive for himself, no matter the cost. And I think that is one of the themes that you will see throughout, you know, this case. And that's very sad because at the end of the day, two people were murdered in cold blood, and it, the the crime scene was unusual. I'm going to show you one photo just as we get started, and I want you to think about this while we talk about the next bit. It's not graphic; it's just a diagram. But that's apparently the crime scene where Honey and Barry were found, and this is a pool, and you can see some drag marks where they drag the bodies. But why would they do this? It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's almost like they're showing people or putting them on display, some sort of like manipulation of the crime scene. So while we deal with some of the details, just remember this is what the crime scene looked like when we get into that part. It's a bit hard to visualize unless you have the graphic. So yeah, I don't get it. It almost looks like they tried to hang them, but those bars are very low, aren't they? We'll get into it. Let me get my camera. Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. Let's see what everyone is saying. Hey, Moonlight View, good to see you. Gambler is here. I knew Gambler would be here if we're talking about Honey and Barry Sherman. All right. Let's start off with a bit of a timeline, okay? And then we'll delve deeper into the nuances of the case. So it starts in December 2017. The Shermans are seen alive for the last time on December 13th, okay? December 13th, that's the last time anyone saw them. December 15th, the bodies are found at their Toronto mansion. There's an address on here, but I'm not going to give it out. I mean, what are you going to do? Go there? But the deaths are ruled suspicious. The next day, on December 16th, the autopsies are performed on both their bodies. The day after that, on December 17th, police determined that the couple died from ligature neck compression. Homicide detectives take over the investigation. Media reports quote police sources saying the prevalent theory in the case was that it was murder suicide. Now, this, I believe, has been ruled out at this point in time. They believe it was just murder, no suicide. December 21, 2017, a memorial is held for the Shermans at Mississauga, Ontario. There you go. You can see one of the family members very upset. And then it says here, December 23rd, the Sherman family hires a pathologist to conduct a second autopsy. A few days after that, on the December 28th, the Sherman family lawyer hires a private investigator to look into the deaths. And then we skip forward to the new year. We're out of December, we're into January in 2018. Toronto police say the Shermans were killed in a double homicide and say the attack was targeted. So they they quickly went from, a murder suicide to a double homicide, all within about 3 weeks. It says here, in an explosive interview with the Star and Daily Mail, a cousin of Barry Sherman, Kerry Winter, says he believes Barry was killed. No, sorry. She says he believes Barry killed his wife and then himself. So another person that was very big into the murder suicide plot. October 26, 2018, the Sherman family offers a $10 million reward for any information that leads to the arrest and prosecution of a suspect in the couple's murder. I read it is now up to $35 million for any information that leads to a suspect or an arrest. In this particular case, $35 million, and nobody has come forward. No substantial information that could lead to a suspect. And then it says here later that year, in March 19th, 2018, the city approves a request by the family to demolish the Sherman mansion. So, and then a bit later, a year later, it is demolished. That's a photo of it there. It no longer stands, which makes sense. A lot of these, buildings where horrible crimes happen, they demolish them. So that's sort of the timeline. It's a very quick timeline, especially the first bit where the deaths are discovered. I was reading today when I was doing research for this. Originally, if we go back to the top, originally they thought the Shermans were killed on December 15th, when just before the bodies were discovered. They no longer think that, and they think they were killed sometime around December 13th, just after Barry got home. So they're thinking it's just around this point. So they moved their timeline back 2 days from what they originally thought. They originally thought it was on the around the 15th, and they moved it. So that's a huge switch in the timeline. They are missing 2 days of what happened in that period and why, weren't they discovered a little earlier, that type of thing. Oh, hey, Penguin. Hey, how's it going? Penguin says, hello, everyone. Kind of sick tonight, but at least I have ping. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it seems like everyone's sick in the chat tonight. I hope everyone feels a bit better. So there we go. There's a bit of a timeline. Let's delve into who these people were, okay? because I think that tells a bit of the story. Now, if you know a little bit about this case, this will be no new information to you. Barry Sherman was the CEO of Apotex Inc. He had an estimated net worth of $3.2 billion at the time of his death. He was listed as the 12th wealthiest man in Canada at the time. Another publication, Canadian Business, stated his fortune at around just under 5 billion, ranking him the 15th richest man in Canada. So as you can see, he was quite a rich man. And how he got his wealth was he had a reputation for litigious nature, and it was based on patents for medication. So he was big into doing the sort of private label, generic medication, and he would produce those medications for a cost. And he made a lot of his money like that. But he also made a lot of enemies, especially in brand name pharmaceuticals. The brand name pharmaceutical companies were quite unhappy with Barry because he sued the Canadian state, the Canadian government for various different things. I think they said at one time he had over 100 different lawsuits open in the Canadian courts to do with patents for medication. So yeah, he was quite well known to the point where government officers often dreaded getting a post-it note on their desk saying, Barry's up to his old tricks again. You need to be in court by 2 p.m. to defend the state. So they had quite a lot of, you know, enemies around Canada, from government, private pharmaceutical, but also family, like we explained earlier. Can I turn down the volume? My volume's high. The volume on my mic is high. It's really low. It's really low. What is going on? Hmm. Sorry, guys. I don't get it. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. I don't know what's going on. It's showing as low on my panel here, and under the microphone is a amplifier. I can show you. Hold on. This is the lowest setting, but I can turn it up quite a lot, as you can see. It's very loud. It's on the very, very lowest. Nanalana says, I'm hearing impaired. It could just be me. That's okay, Nanalana. That's okay. We have a few people who are hearing impaired. It's okay. So let's get back into it. I want to talk more about his business interests because it's substantial, very substantial. And some people think he annoyed enough people in the private pharmaceutical trade that this could have been some sort of retaliation hit. I mean, when you're talking about billions of dollars, maybe someone got desperate enough to take them out. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've heard of a rival being killed. Not normally on American, US, or Australian soil, not at this level, but it does happen sometimes. So it says here, he was quite well known, even though he was rich, for for driving his cars around until they basically fell apart. He was a bit, you know, a bit connected to his property, and he would often just not want to replace stuff, even though he had quite a lot of money and a nice house, a nice, nice property and fancy things. It says here, even as his fortune grew, Sherman drove his car around until it reached an advanced state of disrepair. A friend worried that a Ford Mustang was so decrepit that it was leaking carbon monoxide into the passenger compartment. For his 50th birthday, Honey gave him a red sports car with a bow on it in front of assembled guests. He asked her to take it back, and she did. That's the kind of guy that he was. He was a bit of a, everyone knows that guy that has that car that they'll run until they fall apart, or wears the same pair of shoes until they literally can't glue them together anymore. So while he was, billions of dollars in money, he just didn't really want to replace any of his stuff or buy anything new. It says here, hold on, I want to jump to his cousin, his uncle. Hold on, because this bit is interesting. It's one of the theories that people have come up with. For some reason, it's not on the page I'm on here. It's on this one. So, Barry Sherman's orphaned cousins fight for cut of Apotec's fortune in lawsuit appeal. Now, I understand that they lost this particular lawsuit, and only a few months later, Barry was found dead. Barry and Honey were both killed. So that's why some people are very interested in this. It says here, before Barry Sherman was dealing with, before he died, Barry Sherman was dealing with a family lawsuit that had dragged on for a decade. The Toronto billionaire's orphan cousin sued Sherman for a cut of his Apotex fortune in 2007. A judge dismissed the case in September as an abuse of process, but court records show they filed an appeal a month later. Four brothers, Kerry, Jeffrey, Paul, and Dana, started the action a decade ago, although Dana's widow, Julia, is now acting as his representative, and Jeffrey is no longer involved in the appeal. Sherman and his wife, Honey, were found dead in their home on Friday. That's back when they were killed. Autopsies over the weekend revealed the cause of death to be ligature neck compression, meaning strangulation. Police have remained tight-lipped over the deaths. I just want to find more about the cousins. What's the lawsuit all about? The Winters brothers' father, Louis Winter, ran Empire Companies, a pharmaceutical business, until his death in 1965, when the siblings were children. Their mother died within a month, and the orphans were all adopted by another Toronto family. Sherman was Louis's nephew and had worked at Empire Companies from time to time back then, according to court records. The Winter brothers' claim revolves around the fiduciary duty they say Sherman owes them after he bought their father's company a couple of years after their father's death. In the suit, the siblings claim they collectively owed 20% of Sherman's interest in Apotex, which would likely amount to millions of dollars. So they claim that they were shafted out of money they should have inherited, basically. Now, the judge basically said, no, you're not going to get it. But could they have been angry enough to either take revenge and think that they were dudded out of a life of, money and wealth? Or is it just an unfortunate coincidence? I don't know. I have no idea after reading all this. It's almost like, those movies where it's like, who done it and who's the killer? It's almost like that. There is like 10 people in Canada alone that would want to kill Barry. I'm not sure about Honey, but at least Barry. Says here, the claim stems from an option in the sale of Empire Companies that would allow the Winter children to get jobs at their father's old company as adults. along with a 5% share each in the company after working there for 2 years. But the jobs and the shares never materialized. Within a few years of the sale, Sherman was no longer controlling the company and had traded in his own remaining shares for shares in another company that he bought, Empire. According to court records, he later founded Apotex in 1974. The crux of the case is how the option in the 50-year-old purchase agreement should be interpreted. Winters brothers argue the agreement means that Sherman made a commitment and has a fiduciary duty to them. Sherman's lawyers argued the case amounted to abuse of process because of a ruling against the Winter brothers in a prior suit they filed against the trust company that managed their family's estate. In that decision, the judge found that the option didn't extend past Empire companies to Apotex. So it died when Empire companies died, according to the lawsuit. And Judge Kenneth Hood wrote that the purchase agreement itself shows that there was only so much that Sherman was willing to do for the plaintiffs, and that the option agreement was limited, qualified, contingent, and conditional. Hood dismissed the case and wrote, "The claimed interest in Apotex was wishful thinking and beyond fanciful. The Winter family disagrees. Their lawyer, Topilsky, told CBC Toronto that the siblings just want compensation and recognition for what their father did." So, there you go. Yep, Sean says, when there's a will, there's a relative. 100%. Marilyn Lander says, could it be someone in the family? It could have been. It could have been someone in the family. It could have been a rival pharmaceutical company. It could have been these people that he bought out. There is so many people. It could have been. It could have been someone from government that took it too far. Charisma said no cameras. No, there were cameras, but not where they were. I don't think there is a screenshot. Hold on. I think I can show you a screenshot or a little bit of a video. There is a suspect, I think. I'm just trying to look for it. We were going to get there, okay? Let's see if I can find it. We can watch it now. Yes, I found it. All right. This is from the property, I'm pretty sure. All right.
I'm Adrian Gobriel. This week marks 4 years since Barry and Honey Sherman were murdered. And today, for the first time here inside Toronto Police headquarters, detectives released a video of a suspect, and they're now asking for your help.
We're classifying this individual as a suspect. It is our hope that someone will come forward with a name when they recognize the individual's walk, the way in which they kick up their right foot with every step.
It's been 2 years since Toronto Police last held a press conference updating the investigation into the murder of the billionaire couple. So why did police wait so long to release this video? Homicide detective Brandon Price couldn't provide a clear answer.
The cost to the investigation by releasing this early on would have outweighed the benefit of releasing it early on.
The Shermans were discovered strangled in the basement swimming pool of their sprawling Toronto home on December 15, 2017. Barry was the founder of a massive Canadian pharmaceutical company. He and Honey were well-known philanthropists. Initially, police thought it to be a murder-suicide. Eventually, investigators revealed their deaths were in fact a double homicide.
What would you say if there's a critic who says, police are releasing this video because they're at a dead end and this is a Hail Mary pass to try and solve this crime?
The common misconception in the public and often in the press is that nothing's going on when the police are not updating.
It's too little, too late.
Barry Swadron has been practicing criminal and civil law for more than 50 years. He's also sued both the Toronto Police and the OPP. He and many others have questions about the integrity of the investigation, noting that if this suspect is the person who murdered the Shermans, they're likely long gone and nowhere near Toronto.
I want
That video is very poor quality. It's not, unless they have like a digital enhancement of it. I've paused it on a part where you can kind of see the person, but it's not what I would consider clear. I don't know if anyone in the audience thinks it's like brilliantly like HD or anything, but I don't think so. Thank you, Emily. We'll do that in a second. Amber Alert out of Kylie, Texas. Gold 2010 Toyota Highlander, Texas license plate 9DV2390. Victim was a 6-year-old white female, Jalen Weber Daniels, and a 6-year-old white female, Jordan Weber Daniels. Suspect is 20-year-old white female, Kylie Glasgow. Call 911 with information. There you go. We'll have a deeper look into that in a minute. Yeah, it is interesting the way they walk. You know, just like in the case of that, my memory is terrible today, but the woman in Texas where we got the video of the person in the this the SWAT team uniform, and you can see them going around the church smashing stuff. It's sort of, that was way better quality. At least you had some details. This not a lot of
Suspect is the person who murdered the Shermans. They're likely long gone.
don't know if they're deliberately hiding themselves or it's just because it's snowing that they got their face covered.
They're likely long gone and nowhere near Toronto.
To me, that looks like a older person,
Gone and
just by the
nowhere
way they
near
walk.
Toronto.
Someone,
The Shermans, they're likely long gone and nowhere.
someone with good posture, because their back is very lean back compared to a young person who tend to slouch over a little bit with their shoulders. They're very upright, very, walking tall, as they would say.
They're likely long gone and
It's not a very good quality video, though. It would be better. We're not even sure how tall this guy is. You could probably do it with the branch over here and find out how tall that was and then compare to him or her. But there you go. Missy Beavers, that is it. Moonlight View says, I say male mid-40s. I was thinking 50s, but something around the 50-year-old mark, just judging by the way they walk, but it's a bit of a crapshoot. Hey, Misha, how are you? Sean says, that must be at night. It's in black and white. That's a good point. There's no color, is there? It's a night vision? Could be a night vision at night. Maybe that's why the quality is so poor.
they're likely long gone
There's color over here on the lights here. I can see blue.
and nowhere near Toronto.
Either low light camera or just a poor quality camera or night vision. Who knows? But there you go.
I walk with
5'6" and 5'9". This surveillance footage is from a
5'6"
neighboring home
and
and
5'9".
5'9". This surveillance footage between 5'6" and 5'9". This surveillance footage is from a neighboring home because the Shermans didn't have any security cameras on their own multi-million-dollar property.
No security cameras on their multi-million-dollar property. Actually, there's a shot back here that you actually get sort of a side-on glance at him. Hold on. Don't know if you saw that. Just there. If they got better quality, you can sort of see his face in this shot. if they could get a better copy of this that's not compressed as much, maybe you might be able to get a detail out of it that could help. This is one of the only shots where you can see part of the face. The rest of it is sort of, covered up a bit more. I would like to know more about that. Diane Marie says, cameras have improved a lot in 6 years. Yeah, we have more like HD, 4K, night vision. Sean says, let me say, after 30 plus years in CCTV manufacture, this is very good. Is it, Sean? Oh, Sean, you used to work in like installing CCTVs or making the actual cameras? And Sean, by the way, Sean sent in a donation very, very late after during the show near the end as we ended yesterday. Sean, thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you. Yeah, I want to put this on the screen for Sean. Sean says the lens is too wide for definition, and if you alter it too much, it will not hold up in court. Okay, because it will be considered not original or altered, I guess. I'm interested to hear more about Sean. Oh, okay. Uh, Sean says analog CCTV, Sony, Panasonic, Bosch, and Honeywell. Okay, that's very interesting, Sean. I mean, yeah, we've all seen those CCTV from the 90s. Remember like those? And you'd be like, is that a squirrel? Is that a human? Is it a banana? Is it a dog? You're like, what is that? And they're like, this is the footage of a terrible murder, someone being shot outside a convenience store. And you're like, I can't tell if that's a car or a truck or an aeroplane. Very interesting. Sean has all the information on the CCTV. That's a good point, Cheryl. Easier to commit a crime when it's very cold, everyone is bundled up, but harder to get away if you need a fast escape because you're so, um, weighed down in clothes and jackets and that type of thing. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate your input on that. Can't say I've ever worked for a CCTV or anything like that, but that is a good insight. So do you think this one is actually um, a night vision rather than just a poor quality camera? That would make sense. I think it was at night. So Shad Hunter trying to knit a hat before Christmas. Hey Shad, hey, how are you, floating head man? A banana, that's right. The walking banana always commits crimes, Diane. Always. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the information. Information. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it says here, Apotex was much more likely than other Canadian companies to respond to adverse regulatory decisions by suing the government agencies involved. At the time of Sherman's death, the company had filed an estimated 1,200 cases against the government in federal court, according to a spokesperson from Health Canada. Geez. It says here, he complained that the company's litigious nature had cost Canadian taxpayers millions of dollars in legal fees, and that it was intimidating to come back. A worker for Health Canada said it was intimidating to come back from lunch and find an urgent memo on your desk saying you've got to get over to federal court because Sherman was at it again. So they seemed like they were quite, you know, defensive about any of their work in pharmaceuticals. And there's a little tidbit here. As told in Jeffrey Robinson's 2001 book, Prescription Games, Money, Ego, Power, inside the pharmaceutical industry. Sherman himself acknowledged the long-running conflicts between Apotex and the major pharmaceutical companies over drug patents, saying, "The branded drug companies hate us. They have private investigators on us all the time. The thought once came to my mind, why didn't they just hire someone to knock me off?" Private investigators working for the German company Bayer AG, one of the world's largest drug companies, reportedly considered planting illegal drugs in Sherman's car during an operation to lure Apotex employees into informing on whether the company was knowingly infringing Bayer's patents. Jeez, it's a dirty industry, pharmaceuticals, and everyone is playing to win. I don't think there's any good guys in pharmaceuticals. They're there to make money, and I don't think they mess around. Let me see. So it says here, on December 13th, the day they think the Shermans were killed, the Shermans met in Barry's office at Apotex headquarters where they went over some design changes to the new house. Honey was planning to leave for a holiday vacation in Miami a few days later. Barry was to join her a week later. It was the last time the couple was seen alive. That's their proof of life moment. Later that evening, after returning home, Sherman sent his Apotex staff a routine email about a drug the company was developing. He did not call anyone during the night, which they said was unusual because he frequently suffered from insomnia. The next day, December 14th, he did not show up to Apotex again. This was out of the ordinary for him. And I think that's why they moved that timeline. The next morning, December 15th, neither Barry nor Honey were expected to be at home in the morning. The cleaning staff had already let themselves in with a recently installed lockbox when a pair of real estate agents arrived around mid-morning with a couple interested in the property. After showing them around the main story, the agents took the couple downstairs to the lap pool and hot tub. There they discovered Barry and Honey's bodies on the floor next to the pool. Both of their necks were tied with leather belts to a metal railing slightly over a meter high around the pool. Barry was seated, his legs crossed, on the pool deck. Honey was on her side with a bruise on her face. Coats were pulled down over their shoulders, restraining their arms. They were facing away from the water and fully clothed. On the second anniversary of the case, the Toronto Star reported that the positions of the bodies were found in nearly matched those of two 1970s-era junk sculptures of human figures posed sitting on speakers in the basement. Now, there's some controversy surrounding that statement that they were posed like the statues because apparently Honey's wasn't really close to the statue. It was only Barry's that was similar. So a lot of people think it was just that journalist being, what would you call it, like a bit of artistic license, I think. It says here, the Star also reported that Honey's cell phone was found in the bathroom that, according to friends, she never used, suggesting she might have gone there in attempt to summon help, but was overpowered in the process. Similarly, Barry's gloves, as well as paperwork related to an inspection of the house, were found left on the floor just outside the garage door on the way to the basement pool. And they said a window had been left open to allow a recently painted room to air out, and a basement door was unlocked, as apparently the Shermans frequently left it. Someone who may have known this, as well as the interior layout of the house, may have been able to escape through a neighboring backyard after the crime, police said. So it seems like that house had many ways people could escape if they needed to. It just seems like they were a bit lax security wise, considering how many people they had upset. I mean, wouldn't you be like very security conscious if you had that many enemies? Hey, Sean. Sean has another message on the camera. Okay, so he says the lens is fixed and it's not autofocus, so the depth of field is small. At this width, you cannot focus clearly on everything in low light. Do they make adjustable cameras for CCTV these days? Considering they are digital, they could have a digital a digital zoom like in your cell phone, in like that. This has like 100 times zoom. They could have, and it's got a fixed lens on this as well. Diane Marie says no tracks in the snow. Why no security at the house? Bit weird, right? If you had that many people that were after you or annoyed at you, you'd have cameras and a gate and dogs and you know dinosaur and killer octopus that kills people. Marilyn Landis says government nuisance said crews worked thousands of hours to expedite getting highway ready. Oh, the highway in California, the Interstate 10. We will have a look at that in a minute. I'm interested in that. Hey, Tubroke. Tubroke says, shedding the clothes leaves DNA behind if found while ditching the clothes. You won't get far in Canada in the cold if you are tossing your clothes out. Yeah, you would freeze to death very quickly in Canada. Misha says makes way more sense to commit a crime in the winter so you can shed layers of clothing. That was the previous comment. Burnt Popcorn says Bayer was around in the Nazi regime. That's true. That is true. I'm pretty sure that's true anyway. I'd read that Bayer did a lot of chemical weapons for war, like gas chamber and that type of thing. Cheryl says, I want a guard dinosaur. Don't we all, Cheryl? Don't we all? I want a guard dinosaur as well, like a T-Rex that kind of gets people if they try and break into your property. Like in Jurassic Park, the one that chases people and bites them while they're on the toilet. That one. I want that one to protect my property. Misha says, why are we assuming this person is homeless? Shedding layers and going home makes sense. I don't think we're assuming they're homeless. I don't think so at all. But maybe they could have made it home if they chucked out. But you would think, being in that part of Canada, if someone found a whole bunch of clothing just lying in their backyard, and then they knew a murder took place 2 houses away, they would hand that into police. Hey, Diamond Heart. Hey, how are you? Marilyn Landis says highway open before Monday's commute. Amazing. Very cool that they got that done so quickly. Oh, Marlene Clausen says so true about Bayer, also VW. Could be Misha. Even still, shedding layers isn't ridiculous. Dumpsters. I don't know the area very well. We could have a look. Hold on. I think we have the old address in here somewhere if we can find it. It's like 50 something road. Hold on. I'm coming. Let's find the. Where is the stupid address? Maybe it's in this one. Let's have a look. I had it before because we almost read it. Yeah, timeline. Here. 50 Old Colony Road, Canada. That's it. That's the full address. Canada. All right, let's have a look. How do we get back to the mappy side of things? That's not what I want. Does look like a very residential neighborhood from what I can see. Maps. Let's go there. There we go. All right. 50 Old Colony Road. No, not. Yes, North York, Canada. All right. So you guys can see it's quite residential. There's the property. You can see they've torn it down. Like they said in the article, it's been demolished now. It's no longer there on the property. So if this was the property and they were going to go out the back and jump a fence, they could. They've got some room to do so, but I don't see any like commercial type, somewhere to dump clothing. These are very big houses too, like mansion style homes, 8 bedroom, 4 bath, that type of thing. I'm just trying to see if there's anywhere they could go. I mean, it's not far to get if they went out the front, down Old Colony and got onto Gerald. They could get away. I mean, there is another crossroad just there. It's not hard if they just slipped out of here at night. But you think they might get caught on that camera again, right? If they went through the back of the property and jumped this fence, they're going to end up in 55's property here. I mean, I guess, but these guys might have cameras too, and you think they might have got caught getting onto Forest Heights Boulevard. I don't know. They look like people who look after their properties, though, and would know if there was a whole bunch of unintended clothing. Okay, sorry. Someone telling me a story about a funnel web spider. I don't know why, but I'll look at that after. Marlene says, I do not think the person acted alone and had a waiting getaway car. To be successful in this, you would think so, right? Misha says no one checks their trash can before putting it out. That's true. People just dump their stuff in there and then just go away or put the bins out on Wednesday night. But it is a very built up neighborhood. Like if we go bigger, look, it's just houses upon houses. There's no commercial. It's just almost like suburban, but just rich suburban. A lot of houses with pools. But yeah, there you go. There's the property. No longer standing. The house is gone. All right, let's switch back to the other article. Before I like dox myself on purpose, like I always do. Let's see what else they have on the timeline here. Actually, you can see here where they demolished it. There it is. Then with the electronic dinosaur pulling it down. So in 2019, Toronto Star journalist Devin Donovan released a book on the murders called the Billionaire Murders. Donovan alleges that the couple knew their killer or killers and that the motive was money. In December 2019, the private investigation into the murders of Barry and Honey Sherman ends. The police investigation continues as investigators appeal to the public for more information. And that's it. They are still looking for whoever committed this homicide or homicides today. They don't know who killed this couple. Brutal. I mean, I don't know what else to say except for make sure you have security. Don't let, be cautious of everyone and try not to piss off everyone when doing business. I mean, I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm just saying they seem to have a lot of enemies for the average person, considering the things they did, like suing the government, like over every little patent thing, and suing other medical companies. You know, to have 1,200 lawsuits in 20 years is a lot of lawsuits. It's a lot. Even for a medical company, I think that's quite a lot. You know, the fact that the government was like, oh, not Barry again. He's suing us again for regulatory changes that we made. Like, we wanted to give medicine to people for cheaper. And he's like, no, we can't do that. Apparently, that was one of the lawsuits. Um, the Canadian government wanted to lower the cost of generic prescriptions, and he sued them to get them to turn it over because he said he would lose money on it. They said his company would lose profits on the certain medication that they wanted to lower. The book is titled, I think we read it out, Millionaire Murders. Hold on. How am I on the wrong page again? Ping, how does that work? Down here. The book is called The Billionaire Murders. Let's see if we have a link. No? Here. It says an explosive mystery of murder. Toronto billionaires Barry and Honey Sherman is likely to be solved, says Toronto Star journalist with new book out about the case. So, Chief Investigative Reporter Kevin Donovan, who has been following the case for around a year and a half, dismisses rampant speculation that the killing of the founder and former CEO of genetic drug giant Apotex and his wife came at the hands of a professional hitman or international spy over a business deal gone wrong. So it says here, in his new book, The Billionaire Murders, Donovan says he believes the couple knew their killer or killers and the motive was money. There you go. Let's see if we can find a Amazon link for this. Is there an Amazon link? Apparently, there was a documentary released this year, apparently. Here. The Billionaire Murders TV series 2023. The documentary follows the investigation into the deaths of billionaire genetic drug mogul Barry Sherman and his philanthropist wife, Honey, by Toronto Star reporter Kevin Donovan. That was in June 2016. So you don't have to buy the book. You can watch the documentary. Hold on. That was oh, my voice went from all the reading. It tends to do that when I read like 200 paragraph articles. Oh yeah, let's have a look. There we go. They said drag marks over here. Here. There it is. And then they said there was a blood smear on the railing, and there's the position of Barry and Honey. Yes, a real estate agent showing a prospective buyer through the property found them. Who inherited their fortune? Let's see. Probably their kids, right? That's who I would have suspected. So their 4 adult children got their entire estate from them in their death. The proverbial money trail. It does seem that way, right? Reading of will. Misha says sounds like a hired killer. I don't know. I'm in two minds about it. I'm in two minds whether it was an acquaintance who maybe was even owed a small amount of money, like 10 grand, and they were killed over that. You know, that's happened so many times rather than someone being killed over like 50 million. You know, a lot of people are being killed by small debts rather than, you know, large multi-million dollar type of things. There's been so many people killed over like $20 or $100 or, you know, stuff like that. Candy Williams says, I wonder if there was anything under their fingernails. They would have got it for sure. They would have done it in the autopsy. What channel did it come out on? Was it Netflix or? Oh, it was a channel called Crave. A Crave original. What is Crave? I've never heard of a channel called Crave. I know what Shudder is, but I've never heard of Crave. Is that a Canadian thing? Let's see. What is Crave? Some sort of what they call over the top OTP. Kind of like here, like some sort of OTP TV channel thing. They have like different shows and Love Island. Oh, let's all watch that. No, let's not. Dark Side of Comedy. Where's the one we want? Do they have it on here anymore? Ping can't spell. That's okay. That's alright. Ping doesn't have to spell. Oh, it's billionaire. That's probably why. Not millionaire. Let's just check if they have it anymore. No? Yeah, they still have it. And it looks like they have a French Canadian version as well. If you are so inclined, we do have a couple of French Canadians in the chat. It seems like it would be a good movie to watch. I wouldn't mind trying to find this and then watching what that reporter found during the murders. We should do a watch party of this whenever it comes to like Netflix or Hulu or something like that. We should all sit down and watch it together one night. That would be good. Oh, I've got the picture up. Stupid picture. This is why I don't like doing that. There you go. You didn't see any of the things I showed you. There you go. Ping, you are so good at this. You need an award. Hey Uda, how are you? Hi everyone, what on earth is this? This is the National Dinosaur Racing League of Canada. That's what it is. No, what we're investigating and talking about the murder of Barry and Honey Sherman. That's what we've been doing all afternoon so far. I will show you these two people here. This is what we've been talking about. So there you go. Hold on. Let me put this up on the screen. Sean says nothing to do with anti-Semitism as Sherman is Jewish out of the box. I mean, maybe there's been a strong history of Jews being targeted over perceived wealth or what some people consider stolen wealth. And I mean, it's a horrible uh, stereotype, and it is racist, and people shouldn't do that, but it doesn't stop people from committing crimes against it. Retired Ren says, would you get a copyright strike if you streamed the show? Yes. So the other day when I was showing a video on, the lady who was found in the dumpster, in the trash thing the other day, the torso. We showed a 2-minute video of that on Web Sleuth the other night, and we got done for it. We got pulled for it, and normally you can show around 3 to 4 minutes, and it's okay as long as you talk over it and give an explanation. We did 2 minutes, and they got us. So I don't think we could do an hour-long show or a 45-minute show. We would get in trouble. We'd probably have to do it on, like, Zoom or something like that, where we could meet up outside of YouTube. Misha says, I study criminal justice, not that it matters, but I do have insight. Yeah, I thought it was interesting what you said. I just not sure how that would work in that neighborhood. I mean, you could have. They're all ideas because we don't know who the killer is, and we don't know who they might be or what their motive was. I mean, most likely money, but we don't know. Did they? Wu says they've found the remains of the 2 people in Port Phillip Bay. That's terrible. If you didn't see that, we did the story on the jet that crashed in Port Phillip Bay the other day. Sounds like they have found the bodies. Diane Marie says, Honey donated a lot of money to Jewish organization. I forgot which one, but a big supporter. They were big supporters of a lot of different things, including political parties and, different organizations and outreach things. So they did donate a lot of good money to people too. Did they search landfills? I don't know. Let me see if we can find anything about that. That's a good point. If they did throw it in the rubbish, then searching landfill for something might have helped. So it says here, they actually tried to do a cell phone tower dump of probably to do some sort of like geo isolation, so they could find an area and then isolate during the hours of when they think the murder happened, and then they could find out sort of what phones sort of should be there and which ones look sort of alien and shouldn't be in that location. Maybe then they could have filtered it down and found a suspect, or at least a device that shouldn't be within, you know, that area. But I don't. It says here they didn't find anything. It says here the Toronto Star has won a court-approved access to police investigative documents in the Barry and Honey Sherman murder case, and the information is being released in chronological order, not all at once. Last week, we reported that in September 2020, homicide detectives believed they were onto something as they began to compare roughly 300 cell phone numbers, there you go, isolation, of people connected to the Sherman to tower dumps of cellular phone communication near their home in Barry's office. The hope was to find a link to the mysterious walking man believed to be the killer. So, yeah, they were trying to do a geo isolation of the cell tower. Doesn't always work. In this case, it didn't. But I know in Cleo's case, if you remember little Cleo who was abducted in WA, it did work. But that was a different case. Where she was abducted from, the population was so small, there wasn't really a lot of noise or chaff in the tower. So for them to isolate who was out there and connected to the tower at the time, it was very easy because you only had very few connections to the tower. But doing it somewhere like where Honey and Barry are located is almost like a pin in a haystack situation. You have millions of connections, and trying to water that down or filter it and trying to find something usable is hours and hundreds of hours of work. It's really not easy. But I was looking for landfill. I don't see anything about a landfill. Yeah, I don't see anything about a landfill or landfill searching. It says here, this is from the Toronto Star. The theory is that investigators believe that both Bernard and Honey Sherman were murdered and that the perpetrator, presumably a man, is referenced as a walking man that can be seen on the surveillance video, was the prime suspect. One detective wrote in a request to the court for permission to conduct additional analyze or to initially analyze mobile communications data. Okay. Any patterns emerging could reveal that the Shermans were under surveillance prior to their murders, or could reveal the identity of the running man. Okay, so they would have used the tower to see if any recurring phones that, again, weren't supposed to be there were in the street or whatever leading up to the murder. Maybe they were being, you know, watched or surveilled in some way. That would be interesting. But I think they said they didn't find anything. They said they used a technique called photogrammetry. They had determined that the person was between that's how you find the height in a photo. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. They said in early 2019, police went to the Ontario Court of Justice asking for permission to obtain tower dumps from Bell, Telus, Rogers, and Freedom Mobile for areas around Sherman and Apotex's home the night of the murders, as well as the weeks and in some cases months prior to the murder. How this works is relatively simple. When a cell phone is used to make a call or receive a message, it communicates with a nearby cell tower, creating a handshake. This data is specific to an area. Think of drawing an invisible electronic box around a property or part of the street. Okay. Says September 2020, they were granted on the condition that the police use strict protocol to preserve the privacy of innocent people whose mobile communication patterns were picked up during the massive tower dump. It just says here that the documents were heavily redacted and they didn't really find much apparently. That's a shame. It is a technique that sometimes works and gets results, and sometimes it does not. That's a photo of his Porsche, apparently, the one that was so run down, family and friends thought it was dangerous. So, Gambler says the property was listed in December for just under $7 million. Wow, that is a lot of money. Hey, Leisha, how are you? EDM Leisha is here. The truck schedule? Okay. I did look for you. I couldn't find anything that said um, they do normally sometimes, if they can get it close enough to the actual murder and say there was a bin pickup that day, they will order the bins to go to a factory and just dump it all in a factory and they'll go through it. But I don't know if they did that in this particular case. I don't think so. I couldn't find anything. Emily Narb was blow drying her hair. Okay, thank you for the update. Sorry. Yeah, I think that is that it? I think that was the Mustang, or what car is this? Yeah, this is the Mustang here. This is the car they said was basically falling apart and dangerous. Dangerous to own and drive at the time. All right, look, let's wrap this up. We have other stories to go to, but um if we get more information or we watch the documentary together sometime soon, that would be cool, and we can come back and get more thoughts on what we think. Cheryl Huffman says, "Does bin equal trash?" Yes, bin equal trash, my friend. Hold on, I will switch to our next story. Hold on. All right, we're back. We're back again. All right, it says here, escaped child R suspect Sean Williams spotted in Pinellas County. Um, yeah, he's been on the run for 34 days since escaping a prison van while being transported from a detention facility in Kentucky to federal courthouse in Greenville, Tennessee. Williams is facing charges in Tennessee related to, the R of a child, aggravated battery of a child under 13, and especially aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. He is also facing several federal charges, including escape. Last Friday, authorities said a member of the public spotted Williams at a shopping center in Silver, North Carolina. Williams is familiar with the area and should be considered dangerous. The FBI did not say exactly where or what time he was spotted in Pinellas County on Tuesday. According to the wanted poster, he was born in Florida, but his exact birthplace was not disclosed. Let's see if there's a thing here that we can watch.
Someone.
Now, breaking news on News Channel 8.
Well, right now, the search is on for a fugitive wanted by the FBI spotted in the Bay Area. Good evening. I'm Stacey Schreiber.
And I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sean Williams escaped FBI custody in Greenville, Tennessee more than a month ago. Last Friday, he was spotted in Silva, North Carolina. Well, now the FBI says someone saw Williams today in Pinellas County.
He escaped from a transport van while being moved from a detention facility in Kentucky to the federal courthouse in Greenville, Tennessee. He is facing 3 counts of production of child sexual abuse material and 1 count of distribution of cocaine. The FBI says Williams has 3 tattoos, a lightning bolt and a cross on his arm, and a Chinese symbol on his left middle finger. If you know where he is, you should call 911 or contact the FBI.
There you go. There's an update about him. I think the sooner they catch him, the better. Like, for real. He is a real trash piece of human being. Trash-shaped human. Anyone who does that to children deserves to be put away for a very long time. I don't have any more information about him other than hopefully they catch him soon now that they know where he got to, but he's gone on a bit of a run, hasn't he? He went from Kentucky all the way to Florida. Either someone helped him or he got on a. Is there a train that runs from Kentucky all the way into Florida? I wonder if there is or not. I'm not familiar with the rail system, unfortunately. Just trying to find another link. Oh yes, that's right. If I can find it. East Idaho News. We know East Idaho News. So Christopher Tapp was laid to rest at a funeral service. And if you don't know who he was a wrongfully convicted person who, I think he eventually got out. They spent years working on proving his innocence. But here I can read it. It says Christopher Tapp was remembered as a superhero walking among us during his funeral Tuesday morning. Friends and family filled almost every seat at the Coltrane Mortuary in Idaho Falls, and hundreds watched online as the 47-year-old was honored following his death on November 5th. He died due to serious head injuries sustained in an accident while in Las Vegas. They said he left us all too early. It is incredibly sad. His life is a great story. It's the stuff of legend of movies, and we got to witness it. His story is about good over evil, truth over lies, and justice over injustice, said Mike Heavey, a retired Washington judge and co-founder of Judges for Justice. If Chris could talk here today, I think he'd say, I had a good life. Heavey spent years working to prove Tapp's innocence after the Idaho Falls native was wrongfully convicted in 1997 for the and murder of 18-year-old Angie Dodge. Tapp tried multiple times to appeal his conviction and was later discovered. Hold on. It was later discovered his DNA did not match DNA at the crime scene. He was eventually released from prison in 2017 and exonerated in 2019 when investigators arrested 54-year-old Brian Drips. That's awful. So he spent 20 years in prison for something he did not do, and then he died 6 years later after being released. I mean, at least he got to see some freedom before his death, but it's not okay, is it? He spent 20 years of his very short life in prison for something he did not do. So he died very young. Pretty sure he's like 47. Hold on. Yeah, 47. 47 years old. That's a very young life for someone who spent 20 years of his life in jail. That's 50% of his life that he did not get to enjoy. Hopefully his story is a way for other people to be inspired and to, find a way to prove their innocence too. That would be nice. Oh, okay. Hey, Uda. How are you, my friend? Let me see. Where is she? Where is Uda? I can't find the Uda. Where are you, Uda? Da, 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 da. Why is her message not popping up for me? Oh, when are you live next? So I do Monday to Thursday on this channel and Sunday nights on Web Sleuths for Sunday Nights with Ping. So 5 nights a week. Friday and Saturday, I don't do any shows unless there's breaking news that we must cover, and then we will. Where is our friend Jobex? Here. Hey, Joe. Ah, that's a good point, Joe. Joe says the father asked his son to return a $50 million loan a couple of weeks before his death. Maybe his son has something to do with it. If it's anything like the reporter for the Star said, that would be probably true because they said that he suspects they know who killed them, and it was someone that they were very familiar with to feel safe enough to just let him in. So, yes, Nanalana, I did get your email, my friend. Yes. Diamond Heart says his death was suspicious. He evidently tripped over a shoe. That is very weird, isn't it? Ah, Gambler says the land with the house demolished sold in 2020 for 4.25 million. It was on the market this July for 6.498 million, down from the December 2022 asking price. So they weren't able to sell it. They're probably just trying to make a profit. Rumors are going around, are they, Diamond Hut? That's very sad. And Diamond Hut says, I live in IF. That's very sad that he's, hopefully it's like nothing like that, because that would be horrible to have his death, um, covered in conspiracy theory when he already had such a tormented life of being, falsely accused in prison. His death will be hijacked by conspiracy theory and, stuff like that. That would be horrible. Just trying to see if there's anything else about Chris and his death. It says here he died November 5th in Las Vegas after an accidental fall on October 29th caused serious and irreversible head injuries. Mr. Tapp was rushed to hospital where after a week of heroic efforts to save him, he nonetheless died. He is survived by his mother Vera, who stood by her son from the moment he was falsely charged 27 years ago until his untimely death this week. His mother took out a second mortgage to pay for several unsuccessful appeals and worked a second job well past retirement age to ensure there were funds in Mr. Tapp's commissary for the 21 years he was incarcerated. So she paid for his food and items in the prison, and she worked more jobs. That's devotion from a mum, isn't it? Really is. Here's a photo of Chris there. Frog mama. Is that what you're calling insightful one now? The frog mom. Yeah, I feel sorry for his mum. She worked so hard to get him out, and she only got a few years with him before he died, but at least that is something special, I guess. Sean says, when you are inheriting millions, hundreds of millions, splitting a $4 to $6 million house is loose change. It's almost like that's their holiday home and it's not worth much. It's like a shack. They're like, "Oh, we don't care about the holiday home. It's not worth anything." Let me see if I can find this update that they were talking about. I want to find this update about the bodies being found. Let's see. Hmm. I don't see anything. Aha, here we go. Mount Martha, police believe human remains found after ex-military crashes into water in Port Phillip Bay. I think that meant to say ex-military jet.
In breaking news, the wreckage has been found in the search for a plane involved in a mid-air collision near Melbourne. A large part of the body of the plane has now been located in the waters off Mount Martha in the Mornington Peninsula. Police are now working to remove the plane's fuselage, I should say, from the water before it is searched. Authorities still trying to recover the bodies of pilot Stephen Gale and cameraman James Rose.
I think they said they've found the bodies now, and that's what this article will say. A large-scale search has found what is believed to be human remains in Port Phillip Bay after a plane crash in Mount Martha on Sunday. Police confirmed the remains are believed to be the missing occupants of the plane, 56-year-old Brunswick man and 30-year-old Surrey Hills man. The two people were on board the flight when it crashed. Authorities later identified the pilot.
In breaking news,
the pilot as 56-year-old Stephen Gale, the owner of aviation company Jetworks Aviation, which operated the plane involved in the crash, and passenger James Rose, who was a drone pilot and cameraman on many TV shows in Australia, well known in the industry. There's the two people. That sounds. They were filming a documentary called Any Fool Can Fly. It was about putting successful people that weren't pilots into planes and seeing if they could learn enough to fly a jet. Sounded like a flawed premise to a TV show. Very dangerous. Very, very dangerous to try and get people who obviously aren't trained to fly a jet. I think we're just about done for time tonight, guys. I did have another update, but we might leave it for tomorrow. We spent so much talking about Barry and Honey, which is fine. I enjoyed it. It was good to do that case after hearing so much about it. All right, let's finish on something funny, all right? Smoking hot 8-year-old boy's X-rated search history has his dad and sister cracking up. I'm going to show you what the kid wrote. The kid wrote things like, "How did Michael Jackson die? XXX Tentation's death. How did that rapper die? What is toxic? Is XXX dead?" Diss track lyrics, typical teenage boy stuff. And then he wrote, "Barbecue sauce on titties." And he's like, what the hell? Why would he write that into Google? And that's apparently his dad and his sister were cracking up because they're like, why on earth would he write that? It says down here. Yeah, but things really fall apart when the father reaches a search term that he and his daughter seemingly made the video in response to: barbecue sauce on titties. The not safe for work search is enough to send the father and daughter duo into hysterics over its patent absurdity and their own personal questions about where the 8-year-old got the idea to type that phrase into Google and hit search. The comments section jumped in on the funny family fun and seconding the hilarity of the video. I wonder if we can watch the little bit of it because that's hilarious. Oh, it's not going to let us. That's okay. I find that hilarious that an 8-year-old wrote that. I'm not even sure if he knows what it means. Or he just maybe heard it on a YouTube channel or something and just decided that he wanted to know what it was. So he typed it into Google. Marilyn Landis. All right, guys, let's wrap it up for tonight. I hope you had a fun time talking about Barry and Honey and their murder. We'll try to do a watch party soon for that documentary. If I can find it, we might do like a Zoom night and we'll all hang out and we'll watch the documentary over Zoom. If you guys would find that fun, we could do that one night. Maybe we could watch like an episode a week or something on a Friday, and we could watch it on Zoom. That would be fun. Then we can discover it together. But other than that, I really appreciate it. Have a great night, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for a more normal show. Although normal's just a word, we're never normal on this channel. But thank you to Moonlight View for moderating. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who turns out here every single night to come and have fun with us. It's really been a lot of fun for me, and to see this channel grow has been amazing. We'll get there. We're going to get to that 1,000 people as soon as we can. We'll get there. And yep, thank you for another great show. I couldn't do it without the people in the chat. You guys make the show. So hopefully, Campbell said, hopefully he didn't mean kitties. Yeah, maybe. Let's hope not. Because barbecue sauce on kitties sounds a bit weird. All right, everyone. Sleep well. Stay safe. Another big day of true crime awaits you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Ping. I'm from Melbourne. And this was your Nights with Ping episode for the Tuesday evening. So see you later, everyone. Until tomorrow. Good night.